All right, this is Speak On It. Today is August the 12th. My name is Malik. This is a CAN TV opportunity. I don't want to say production because I was looking at it. I said, oh, suppose CAN don't say it's their production. Let me correct that. This is a CAN TV opportunity for nonprofit organizations to talk about what they're doing. And Retro Quarantine is the nonprofit that Speak On It is speaking on it for. Yeah, seemed like I was stumbling through that, but not really. Because in all things, you have to strive to be correct. And I was thinking, I said, I haven't discussed with Omari, and he's very diplomatic and finesseful, and he might have not had the opportunity to tell me what was out of order. But when I said a CAN TV production, I said, whoa, wait a while. CAN TV might not want to wear that jacket, because I know I be coming sort of, whatever. So that's why I'm correcting it. You say, well, that's petty. Why you got to say that? Because sometimes it's the petty stuff that gets you took out. You know what I'm saying? So I want to be clear that you understand this is not a production as relates to an endorsement by CAN TV or nobody else for Retro Quarantine. Know this. And that's how it is. But we've been doing this on CAN TV for ages. Some of y'all weren't even born yet. And I don't say that trying to flex. I'm just saying. And the reason we continue to do it is because our people need information so they can be aware of some things that they might have missed. That is. And because I'm trying to sit in ego trip. No, it ain't. But I have a understanding to a degree that there's a lot of things happening in the Negro colony that a lot of these other people that got platforms, they just don't bring them to y'all. They too busy trying to echo and be correct like their master want them to be. I ain't going. I ain't on the plantation. I ain't going to the reservation. I ain't. And there's some of y'all out there, because I run into you every day, that's just like me. You ain't going. So I'm speaking to those of you that ain't going. We ain't going back. We ain't. We might end up standing in place, striving to go forward. But when you look at what's happening in Chicago and all over this nation and all over the world right now, the Negro is the laughing stock of the world. Because he has allowed these zombie generations to take him into darkness. Sometimes just a little flicker of light is enough to hold you until the sun rises. Let me stop before my granddaddy started talking, before my uncle started talking, before my daddy and my brothers started talking. Because in a minute, when we start going where the ancestors know the truth is, they take their tongue and they'll tell you what you need to know, audience. But I ain't trying to go there. Kick it off, Brother Omar. Kick it off.
To go a little south, the GOAT will be away from his Bucs teams for a period of time to, quote, deal with some personal things, and Brady is expected to return after next week's preseason game against the Titans on August 20th. This is not a surprise to Coach Todd Bowles, who shared his thoughts on the matter.
This is something he needs to handle. We trust him. We talked about it. It was scheduled way before training camp, and he will not be here until after Tennessee. He didn't have the years and the experience that the guy has and comes in and works diligently. I would definitely be concerned. It's a personal issue, and that's all I can tell you.
All right, Chris, are we concerned with Brady's absence?
Not concerned about Brady's absence. It's not time to hit the panic button. We are talking about Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback to have referendum on Todd Bowles, seeing if he can get it right the second time around as a head coach.
I'm not worried.
You're not worried?
He's the GOAT. Bad. He has 7 of these things. 7 rings.
Yeah.
He knows how to conduct his business.
Is going to mitigate the effect or the impact of that absence because he's just so good. So guys, we also have to acknowledge practice this time of year matters in terms of being able to put your team together and get ready for the upcoming season. So I don't want to be completely dismissive of it. I'm not concerned. I'm not sounding the alarm, but I do think that this is a unique opportunity for Ty Bowles to put his stamp on the team in the absence of Tom Brady and his leadership intangibles.
Well, we can keep the panic button in the middle of the table for now, but let's shift gears a tiny bit and just talk about the Bucks and the pressure, obviously,
Now,
to another championship.
Because sometimes things happen, and somebody else's situation changes. One of the things that I have noticed recently with this situation and another situation is that, the spirit is the spirit, whatever that means. Colin Kaepernick seemed to be about to be given another opportunity to do what he has demonstrated he really wants to do. And that is to play ball at least until he feels he's gotten past what disrupted his career. Let me say it like that. I think he did something out of the spirit of witnessing and feeling the despair of a people, the injustice in this society, the craziness that these creatures put on the Negro. So he got down on a knee, as you know, just like many of you have done before. You get on your knees and you pray to God or your ancestors or whatever you do. So he got on a knee and he was trying to make a point, so it seems, and then all hell rose up. And the sadness is that the most ridiculous hell, with the most flame and smoke, has come from colored haters. And I'm not going to even honor you calling you a Negro. Why did you hate this young man for risking everything to bring attention to the fact that too many of us were suffering? He wasn't suffering. He was doing great. He had his millions. He had his big job. He had his celebrity status. But he felt the pain. When he did, then you gatekeepers came out with your flaming torch. But now that he got an opportunity to come back, some of you bubblegum lip, BB head creatures are still dissatisfied. That's why we're throwing it out here. I pray to God that whatever was done while he was going back and forth and while he was in different parts of Africa, and I know what they was doing because they could see it. They was calling upon the ancestors, upon the gods from the beginning of the time to help this brother, to restore him. And no, he ain't going to go with what I'm saying, and I'm not saying it to put him under no flag. I'm just saying that he had the honor to go home from which he come and reconnect with his ancestors and the priests and the guardians of the tradition and the spirituality of the people before he got here. And now we see, and I bear witness that if you reconnect with your ancestors, even if you don't go far as he went, even if you don't do like Alex Haley in Roots, even if you don't do like a almost commoner like me and spend years going back and forth, but if you go back It might not come when you want it, but when it comes, it's just like the Baptist preachers say. He might not come when you want him. When he comes, it's right on time. And I think this opportunity is right on time for Kaepernick. And I would imagine Cleveland Browns, I grew up listening to that term. I think they might give him opportunity. Run that, Brother Omar.
Developing right now, dozens of FBI agents executing a search warrant at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort right here in South Florida.
We've learned it's part of an investigation into the former president's alleged mishandling of classified documents. We started team coverage with Local 10 News reporter Trent Kelly.
He's live right now near the Mar-a-Lago residence in Palm Beach.
Well, Christy and Janice, we know this search took place around 10 a.m. yesterday. Agents converging here on Mar-a-Lago as the president was not here. He was actually spending the night in New York City. We know the search warrant itself was approved by a federal judge here in Palm Beach County. News of this search drawing out crowds on both sides, everyone gathering here to voice their strong opinion.
I support Trump. I against the FBI. They do not have it. The government overuse their right.
For the second day in a row, a small crowd of Trump supporters gathering near Mar-a-Lago one day after the FBI served a search warrant at the former president's Palm Beach home. Any thought?
Well, I feel like the Democrat above the law because this country, no party, no person above law. But the Democrats this time above the law.
These women driving all the way from Orlando just to show their support.
How about Biden's son have a lot of illegal business with Ukraine and China? Why FBI don't go there?
But this isn't about Biden's son. This is about former President Trump.
Why not arrest? I not arrest Biden's son.
According to sources, the search started around 10 a.m. Monday. Agents reportedly looking for classified documents that may have ended up at the Palm Beach estate. The former president later confirming the search in a statement, saying, quote, "My beautiful home, Mar-a-Lago, is currently under siege, raided, and occupied by a large group of FBI agents. After working and cooperating with the relevant government agencies, this unannounced raid on my home was not necessary or appropriate. It is prosecutorial misconduct, the weaponization of the justice system."
I love this guy. He's done so much for this country, more than any president in the United States.
The news causing both supporters and opponents of the former president to gather near his property on Monday, all voicing their opinion.
He deserves this. He's a criminal. He has done nothing but negativity for our country.
And those crowds are expected to gather here again today. We should tell you a spokesperson for former President Trump did later say that agents left the property with several documents yesterday. What's contained in those documents, still unclear. So far, the Trump team has not shared any copy of that search warrant. For now, that is the very latest live here from Palm Beach. I'm Trent Kelly, Local 10 News.
Trent, thank you. And your reaction to that news from the FBI?
You know, this country and the media, it's a trip. I'm gonna tell you, it's really crazy. And you see how the Asian lady was interrupted by the journalist? She wasn't saying what he wanted to hear. But he gonna point fingers at those that want to talk about Trump being at the other end of the target, the camera. But some of us noticed that coming into the election, and even right now, that Asian woman had a point. It wasn't no secret, but the media didn't deal with it. They didn't want to deal with it. They said that the stations that were dealing with it was fake news and woo, woo, woo. But the woman had a point, y'all. Those questions concerning Biden, his son, that woman, Harris, and their relationships with China and other places that, seem to be about as controversial for some as whatever send you all off when somebody don't agree with the stance of the media concerning Trump. I said it over and over. I don't see no difference between Trump and Biden. Basically, they from the same generation. Basically, they both know how to deal with Negroes. pat them on the head, sit them in your lap, and treat them the way Biden treated them when he was first elected and they came to sit down with him, them so-called civil rights leaders. Or as some of you always say, when Ice Cube went to talk to Trump. But at least both of them gave you a type of accessibility. But the media gonna make everybody hate one or the other. Negro, you gotta get out of that. You can't be loyal to these creatures because one is a Democrat and one is a Republican. What you got to pay attention to is that the Asian was speaking in favor of Trump. They say that the real Latino seem to be moving toward the Republican. Now this new hybrid that they have created, so-called Latinx or whatever the hell that is, all the way from Chicano, all the way from Hispanic, all the way from Latino to some new stuff that a lot of those names I just called don't even acknowledge that the media and some other little operative group are putting out here. What did that have to do with Trump's house? Everything. Because you see, that's out of hand, y'all. The FBI running up on a former president like that. No honor, no respect. He ain't been convicted of nothing. You just roll on him because you want to do that. And you know the media is going to support that. That's why we better pay attention to these elections that's coming up in 2023, after the midterm, and 2024. Because the way this thing is going, the media run America. Let's go to something else, man, because all of this is a waste of time. And when I say waste of time, I don't mean on the show. I mean waste of time because it's beyond my need to be involved. I mean, you can see it, you know what I'm saying? You see what's happening here. He's using serious restraint. From what I understand, the Nigerian, you can see his woman, seeing like one of them Negro women. Look at her. Just won't stop. Look at him. Trying to be a man. Now, as the story is told, I think he ended up getting sent from the realm of the living. And possibly the woman might have been allowed not to receive proper justice at the time. And maybe, something has happened. And she might be sort of like finna taste a little punishment. But the bottom line is this here. Sometime, in this climate, in this time that we're living, the male has to be so disciplined. Because a lot of them are taking whoopings. Because when they used to say you chicken, pecked, hen pecked, now you female pecked for real. Because if you say something, the system gonna believe her. But we saw this on camera. Had there been a man doing that to her, he would have been locked up for life. Just on the strength of what we saw. Sometimes videos don't need to have. We got a couple of videos coming up for this presentation over today that we ain't gonna let you listen to the audio simply because the fact that, you know, our people, when they Negroes, when they get all heated, they use a lot of profanity. And this KNTV is a family-friendly station. And, you know, I'm sensitive of the fact that people have their children and their grandparents and you know, all type of people looking, and they might bump across this. And they don't want to hear MF and all of that. So we have to take the volume down. So you have to look at the body language. So much for that. All right, brother.
Weekend passage of a multi-billion-dollar spending bill that's focused on health care, climate change, and taxes. CBS's Scott McFarland takes a closer look at how and when you might actually feel the impact.
Ms. Klobuchar, aye. After a weekend marathon of voting in the U.S. Senate.
And the bill, as amended, is passed.
Approving a nearly $750 billion plan called the Inflation Reduction Act. The work week began at small businesses like Kyle Burke's bookstore today. With skepticism, anything will change immediately.
I think it would be foolish to expect any short-term fixes from Congress.
Food prices and other rising costs are squeezing his employees, meaning Burke may soon have to pay them more. Does that make life more challenging for you?
I absolutely think it will.
The Senate vote by the narrowest possible margin, straight down party lines, with Republicans blasting the plan, saying it might fuel inflation by raising taxes.
This gives phony and cynical a bad name.
With $369 billion for clean energy programs, it's also the largest climate change bill in U.S. history, including tax credits for people who buy electric cars and for energy-efficient home upgrades. It expands subsidies to help more people get health insurance under the Affordable Care Act, and to help pay for it, a new 15% tax rate on corporations. Left out of the bill, a plan to cap the price of insulin for millions of people on private insurance, as insulin prices are estimated to have soared from $20 to $250 a vial over the past 20 years.
Have you noticed the price increasing?
Significantly.
Michelle Williams knows how the cost of insulin can slam families. Her daughter suffered from diabetes before she died.
You can't afford the particular insulin that you need.
The U.S. House is expected to pass this legislation on Friday, after which it goes to President Biden's desk. Democrats are hoping this is a political victory ahead of the midterm elections, but it's far from clear this will make a dent in inflation by then. Sharika?
Scott, we shall see what happens.
Now let me just say this on that. It's a lot of money again. But as you will see in this piece about the IRS, getting these 87,000 new employees and the authority to execute you, deadly force. And they ain't even a government agency. They just some damn phantom that has more authority than the government to just do whatever in the hell they want to do. And now they hiring 87,000 more. But they ain't coming at those super rich people that got all the money. Yeah, a lot of folks right. They really basically coming at me and you type. And a lot of them PPP type, Section 8 type, public aid type. Yeah, that's who they coming for, y'all. You know, you running around here loving this dude. Now, when that other administration was in, they seem to have been doing some things to lower the price of medication. And insulin was something they talked about quite a bit. They did. But now, in this one, with all of that, you get down to insulin, something the Negroes really need, that was left out. You see what I'm saying? You just need to pay attention. That's all I'm saying. Pay attention. Because you love these people that's in place right now so much. But you know you ain't going to be driving no electric car. Hell, you can't afford gas for the one you got. You know this. You know dude in the corner or in the alley can't fix the car you got now. What in the hell he going to do with an electric car when you ain't got no Commonwealth Edison services on? Come on, y'all. But y'all want to stand up and talk about all the good they doing. But look at what they doing. They rolling it back. But had that other party been doing that, you'd be talking yang for days. Pay attention. It don't matter what party is in place. What matters is how do what's happening affect your place. Let's look at this, brother. Because this is some more of that foolishness.
So let's start with the reality of just that point. Being hunted by a tax organization and agency, that's going to hurt.
Absolutely. Senator Crapo actually put forward an amendment saying, can we make sure that these 87,000 IRS agents do not target the middle class? And you know what? 50 Democrats said no. We are going to target the middle class. So every waitress who's depending on her tips, anybody who's getting any extra money in their lives, any extra income, the government just increased the size of the IRS to harass every single average American. It is shameful. Instead of saying, how do we reduce gas prices? How do we get more police on the street? How do we make sure that we're solving the problems that so many Americans are facing? They said, you know what, in a time of recession, let's raise taxes and let's find a way to make their lives even harder by creating a government agency that will target average Americans.
Can we just talk about the statistic, and maybe we can put it back on the big wall? I want to point to one of those government agencies that we're really struggling mightily with now and could probably use 87,000 people. That would be the Border Patrol. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. Another amendment was put forward to secure the border. Every single Democrat, once again, all 50 said no. Remember Joe Biden in his State of the Union saying, we're going to secure the border. Well, they had their chance last night and their intentions were made abundantly clear. They said, we will not secure the border. We will not fund more Border Patrol agents. As we know that drugs are coming across our border and it is the leading cause of death for 18 to 45-year-olds in this country right now with fentanyl pouring through our southern border. But Democrats didn't do that. They didn't put more cops out there. They raised our taxes during a recession. They made sure that our gas prices are going to go up, and they're taking a victory lap. They're taking a victory lap on the backs of average Americans who are really struggling because of their policies, and they doubled down on them yesterday. And every single American who's hurting right now knows that the Democrats do not care because they did nothing to help them yesterday.
The president said this while he was celebrating earlier.
Do I expect you to help? Yes, I do. It's going to need you to help. There's a whole range of things that are really game changers for ordinary folks. Now, some of it's not going to kick in for a little bit, but it's all good.
That part where he says some of it's not going to kick in for a little bit, the Penn-Wharton model that looked at this says that for inflation purposes, it's not going to kick in at all. 2031, they look that far out. It's zero impact on the high inflation, yet it's called the Inflation Reduction Act. Chairwoman.
They're lying to the American people. I mean, even Bernie Sanders went forward and said this will not help reduce inflation. So they lied. They lied with the name of this. People are going to hurt. Not only are we dealing with inflation, which is a tax hike right now, but they just raised taxes in the middle of a recession. Shame on the Democrats, and every American needs to mobilize to make sure that we take back the House and the Senate in November.
All right, real quickly, because Chuck Schumer, just moments ago, was starting his celebration out with, at last we've arrived. You head up the Republican National Committee. You're taking a look now, 92 days down the road, it's November 8th. What does that statement mean? And did this help or hurt a red wave potential for Republicans?
Oh, I think this is going to unfortunately hurt the American people, which will make them more motivated to vote Republican. So I absolutely think we're not happy to see the American people struggling. Every one of us, Harris, we talk to people every day who are barely making ends meet, who are deciding, do I have groceries or do I have gas right now? And the Democrats are patting themselves on the back. They're so out of touch with Main Street America right now. For them to raise gas prices, which there is a gas hike in there, for them to say we're going to continue to sell gas to China, which again raises our gas prices, keep our border open, which they did yesterday, and then also raise taxes on the American people during a recession, shows that they do not care about the pain and suffering on Main Street. They're so out of touch in their Washington bubble. But the American people will have the last word in November when we take back the House and Senate.
Let's take a look. According to a new poll, public perception of the economy is the lowest since 2008. It shows 69% of Americans feel the economy is getting worse. And more than 1/3 say they trust Republicans to do a better job handling the economy, compared with the 25% who say they trust Democrats more to deal with that issue. Now, this was taken before they passed this monster spending bill, and we haven't even felt the grasp of some of the items in the bill. The Congressional Budget Office, Congresswoman McDaniel, had said that, again, no effect on inflation in a positive way. It will reduce the deficit. But again, economists have said there's no straight line between reducing the deficit and fixing the pain that we're in with inflation right now.
Yeah, and let's look back at the history of this administration. They said inflation was transitory. That was a lie. They said that they were going to do things to lower gas prices. They didn't. They cut out the Keystone Pipeline day one. We've seen gas prices rise over $2 from when Joe Biden took office. So everything they've promised the American people, they have lied, and they did it again yesterday. And we all know they penalized the oil and gas industry. They gutted them yesterday. They absolutely agreed to a tax increase on gas. That's 16%, 16 cents per barrel. They said we're not going to secure our southern border. They're going to continue to sell strategic oil reserves to China. I mean, on every single issue, the Democrats doubled down on bad policy.
China, who's buzzing the tower and a whole lot of other things, with missiles and their military might right now, flexing to let Taiwan know they didn't like the fact that our United States House Speaker touched ground for a few hours. That China. All right, let's move to this. Michigan Congressman Peter Mayer.
Now,
Lost his GOP.
I know that, you might say, well, dude, we got local issues that we think are more, but you don't think about what we present. Just be clear. This is important. And I know you're used to thinking that this is fake news. Well, y'all, we saying is this. It might be fake to those that's telling you it's fake, but those out here in the street, it ain't that fake. It's very fearful and painful to think about what IRS can do when they decide to put that microscope on you. Yeah, you can go around here and celebrate. And once again, I'm talking to those of you that's from the same DNA history that I'm from. Somewhere over yonder called so-called Africa, and somewhere down yonder called slavery. That's who I'm talking to. Whatever shade you are, whatever status you are, at the end of the day, when IRS come, your whole world can get turned inside out. When your insulin is needed and there is no money for the kind you need, and you see your children or your parents die, and you know the diabetes is something that's sort of like connected closely to those of us that are descendants of that experience. You understand? That's why we take it to that level. Because we want you to hear what you call fake news. Because quiet is kept. A lot of that stuff you thought was mainstream and so good, yeah, well, you need to slow down and reassess what's really good for you. Play the trick. Call it inflation reduction. Some SHIT that ain't gonna even show itself. An old dude even told you that to your face while he was looking down on the ground. You ain't gonna see no effects of this right away. He right. Until 2031. What is this? 2022? And you don't have enough sense to see the trick? And I'm talking basically to those that oh man, it's hard for me not to call these Negroes names, but I won't. Go on, brother. Let me go on. Now, why are you finding this?
Taking a turn to some more news this afternoon, Mayor Lightfoot released her budget forecast for next year, and it includes a property tax increase.
That may be a tough sell for aldermen as they all face re-election in February. Here for more on the budget highlights, political reporter Marianne Ahern.
Good afternoon to both of you. The mayor tied property tax increases to the consumer price index. And we've been seeing what's happened with inflation. So Lightfoot is not going to hike the tax as far as she could, but the Chicago Board of Price Index. And we've been seeing what's happened with inflation. So Lightfoot is not going to hike the tax as far as she could, but the Chicago Board of Education
not half empty, even with a $129 million shortfall. It's easy in an election year to say, let's do nothing. But our pension obligation continues to grow year after year. Lightfoot already put in place a plan that has Chicago property taxes tied to the consumer price index. The city also set a 5% cap. This year, Lightfoot is suggesting a 2.5% increase. But CPS, the Chicago Board of Education, they're proposing a full 5% increase. That means the city is hiking property taxes by $43 million, CPS is increasing by $310 million. That's a total of $353 million. Alderman Pat Dowell is the budget chair.
I think it's a hard sell. I mean, I think, the council will definitely have a lot of questions about that.
Mayoral candidate Paul Vallis.
The city council and the mayor should have the guts to put that before for a vote. And I just think that it's pretty outrageous that they would try to sneak increases in every year.
Lightfoot noted the $40 million Bally's has sent to the city for a new casino, even before any groundbreaking. This casino now will generate $2 billion in new value for our city and another $2 billion for the state of Illinois. Lawrence Massal from the Civic Federation warns.
We're excited that they're going to open it. It's going to bring some new revenue. It is also going to likely compete with some existing gaming sources here.
So this is the budget forecast. In other words, the mayor showing her cards, and now the council and others will weigh in. Perhaps changes will be made before a vote is taken, and that's going to take a couple of months. For now, Marianne Ahern, NBC 5 News.
All right.
Now, you already know, it goes without saying. That city council ain't got enough damn sense to come up with nothing other than kissing the rubber stamp that she put on their lips. You understand? And how a person that just got there, there wasn't no politician, that ain't brought nothing to the table other than coming, has got all of them so well trained that they just don't give a damn about the people they supposed to be representing. Now, she doing the same identical thing that the National Democratic Party is doing. Now, if the state has reduced temporarily the gas tax, some of the food tax, some of the back-to-school tax, from what I understand, and school supplies tax for the children, and a few other things. Now, this one raises the property tax. Damn it, can't you see? If we can't afford to pay the taxes on the gas, on the food, and on the pencil and paper for the kids, how do you think we can afford to pay these taxes that you're raising
Socialized, but a recent gathering in March
on property? Think. And now, CPS just lost because of this formula or whatever, and because of these black kids that say, damn y'all, you ain't teaching me nothing, it ain't relevant, ain't no black teachers, I ain't going, and I ain't gonna be found. So a lot of them has become invisible. So you lose $30 million. But you say you saw it coming. Yeah, you saw it coming. Because you knew you was pushing these kids out, pushing their families out. Because they have no sanctuary city for Negroes, and they setting it up for everybody else to have sanctuary. So the kids that was causing the money to come to CPS, the Negro kids, since they basically been swept away, gone underground, gone out of town. Now your money is funny. So now they gonna raise taxes, property taxes. And in that clip, they didn't mention CTA. Say we want our part. All them folks getting killed. All of the crime on CTA. But they want to raise taxes. On who? Those of us that's paying them. But those that's victimizing and terrorizing the community, it don't affect them. Because you won't even lock them up. But those of us that's trying to struggle and hold on, now you damn Democrats raising taxes at a time when most of us are struggling. Not only with the budget, but with the terror that we have to live under because the government refuses to provide law enforcement systems that are fair and compassionate to the citizens and just to the criminal. Go on, man.
Turned to chaotic.
Residents say they're worried about their safety and fear another violent night.
CBS 2's Maribel Gonzalez is live in Marquette Park with reaction there. Maribel.
That's right. Those residents say that on Saturday night they saw dozens of cars driving up into the parking lot of this warehouse located on the 2800 block of West Columbus Avenue, where they say things quickly escalated. They're asking authorities to put a stop to them before another gathering like this one gets out of hand. This latest incident was captured on camera, and we want to warn you, some of these images may be difficult to watch. Dramatic video making its rounds on social media shows the moment this large group gathering turned violent. Some of the people there can be seen jumping on top of a parked car, and in other images, someone even appearing to be run over.
It's a very dangerous game that they're playing.
According to Alderman Derek Curtis, the video was captured Saturday around midnight in the parking lot of this warehouse. It's just one of many incidents involving gatherings and reckless driving his ward has seen this past year.
The cars revving up and racing down 79th Street, anywhere where they find a stretch of streets and roads where they could race.
But this latest incident has put the surrounding neighborhood on edge. Residents we spoke to who did not want to be identified due to safety concerns say they're worried it's happening just steps away from their homes. They say they've reported the incidents to 311.
Oh, you just see all these people running. It's scary. I mean, I have a 2-year-old, and my mom's always like concerned about her safety around in the neighborhood. And I mean, every other weekend, the cars be coming by.
Jose Gonzalez says he was there the night of the takeover. He's a self-proclaimed car enthusiast who says that what should have just been a friendly meetup turned into chaos.
We there just to have fun, no drama, no action, nothing like that. Saturday when I went was just crazy. I was like, oh wow, I don't remember it being like this at all.
Meanwhile, Alderman Curtis says he's met with Chicago police prior to this incident to discuss a safety plan, but fears there's not much they can do right now other than ask residents to keep reporting the gatherings and races as they see them.
It's going to take the community effort to get control of it.
There is an ordinance that was approved back in July to help crack down on this illegal racing and drifting in Chicago, but Alderman Curtis says so far that ordinance is not deterring people. We did reach out to the Chicago Police Department to see if they made any arrests or responded to the scene on Saturday night. We're still waiting to hear back. We're live in Marquette Park. Maribel Gonzalez, CBS 2 News. Maribel, thank you.
You ain't seen nothing yet. We told you this a couple of weeks ago in the presentation here. The truth of the matter is, you know, Lightfoot, and I gotta say this because I wrestle with this many times a day. You know, I don't have no horse in the race for none of this political stuff. I don't. And I have no special dislike or nothing about Lightfoot as a person, or, you know, I don't. But I think, and I ask myself over and over, what is it that make you feel you need to be running your mouth as it relates to politics and Lightfoot? Well, I think part of it is it seems to be a type of elitist entitlement disregard for common Negroes that I pick up from her. You do. It's somebody that, you know, it's like the false pretenders group. You know, it's like the rappers that claim to be from this life and they making millions lying and getting people killed. I want you to think about this. Lightfoot is counting those billions from the gambling and from this race car group. And that's what she wants you to hear about how much money they gonna bring. So her raising the taxes on you, you just paying a little bit. $300 and some odd million coming off of taxpayers, and that ain't everybody that's got to get their piece of the pie from the tax dollars. So just discount the pain that's coming on the taxpayer, those that really have fought and bought property, and it's hard for Negroes to get property, and you're mad because, I'm talking about some of y'all Negroes, the Hispanics are coming in, yeah, they getting property, they got good dope contacts and shit, they bringing in all of the drugs, whether it's from the Southern Bull or whatever they are. It ain't just them. That's part of the system. But they got sanctuary in these cities. So they can do that. So they can get these cars. They can get government assistance and get property that black folk died and left to y'all. And y'all wouldn't pay the taxes. So now they come in and get in and you mad. Don't be mad at that. You did that to yourself. So what I'm saying is this. So when Lightfoot speak that the taxes are going to be raised, she knows what's going to happen to us. We're going to lose our property. Because these vultures that's got sanctuary opportunity here, they just laying back and got that dope money. They just laying back to come take your property for $5. And she made it be like that. And she talking about the gambling that's coming. She talking about the car racings that's coming. And then you got this alderman sitting there talking about the community. The community elected you. It's your responsibility. Other than sitting down there being I don't even know how you voted, so I ain't gonna say it. Because I don't know. But I don't know. They're down there supporting her. And now it's in his yard. See? But yet you bringing more of that here. And come the weekend of the 4th of July in 2023, with all them fire bombs going off, and that Grand Park being closed for 10 days so these people can run their cars, and these car enthusiasts looking at that, they're going to be driving cars all over the place. And you talking about $10,000 fine and taking their car? Whew. I mean, it makes no sense to me. And that's why I be talking like I do as it relates to Lightfoot and them people down there that look like they don't understand what real living is for those of us out here in the hood. Move around, man.
Joins us now. What's your reaction? She's in charge of the second largest union, and that affects our children.
It does. I mean, it's terrible that this is her 8th time being reelected now, Ainsley, and she has about 1.7 million teachers in this union that she controls, and she's pretty clearly told us over the past several years, we've seen who Randy Weingarten is. Don't forget, she was one of the people that wanted to keep schools shut down during COVID, despite the science telling us that schools could safely reopen. Now, when the schools were actually reopened, she wanted masking. She's a big advocate for masking our children, no matter what, despite what science says. Yet again, I know those 1.7 million teachers that fall under her purview, she wants them teaching things like critical race theory to our children across America. You just talked about the donations. That is year to date, $12 million to Democrat causes, 75 to Republicans. I guess maybe they bought a sandwich or something for the $75. But this does impact our kids all across the country. And when you think about the fact that we have $17,000 per
per pupil per year that we spend in America, and yet our children are falling behind. You ask yourself, well, why is this happening? It is because of people like Randy Weingarten, who is not focusing on things that are going to prepare our children for their future. Again, focusing on things like critical race theory. You just heard talking about spirit murder. I mean, that's absolute insanity.
Murdering your spirits?
I don't even know what that means, but instead of meeting basic proficiencies in things like reading and math, this is what is being focused on, and you very clearly see it. Randy Weingarten cares about herself. She cares about her far-left agenda. She does not care about the kids, and no parent should be forced to send their kids to a school that is failing them, and unfortunately, that is what we have seen happen with these teachers' unions. Don't forget, it wasn't her teachers' union, but it was another one who told the DOJ they ought to label parents going to teachers, to school board meetings as domestic terrorists. That's exactly what happened.
It's offensive.
They wield a lot of power.
It's offensive as the daughter of a school teacher and the sister of a school teacher to think that teachers are labeling certain kids and killing their spirits. My sister and my mom loved every single child that they taught. Laura, we got to go, but thank you so much for coming on.
Now, there it is. Here it is. Union, just like the media. These people, and she only used that critical race theory, how they got that silly rabbit type Negro females to throw something out there that they knew was just going to confuse the hell out of these white folk, and now they have. So this white woman, she want to amplify that word to raise the fear level and the hate level. So black-related history don't be included, and that it just be a backlash on it. So she may like she's talking about critical race theory because that's become anything related to black history. She know if she say that, them people, y'all want to call Republicans and those type of people, they going to get all up in arms and it's going to be a problem. But some silly Negroes started that, trying to be whatever the hell they trying to do, get some attention. And now they done took it and just turned it against everything that blacks had worked for all of these years to make progress in these schools. And then you got people like her. They spend that union, donate $11 million to the Democrats and $75, period, to the Republicans. How did you get that crazy? And that's what they got. So we have to pay attention. Now there's another piece about Iowa. Run Amari right behind this because we're running out of time. We're going to cut a lot of this stuff out. Where what's happening is that we've shown this before. We're going to show it again. Where people like that woman and that other woman that wanted to change, union now, school union, wanted to change the word from parent as relates to mothers, and I'm going to use the word fathers, being referred to with these children, and use birthing parent. Union now. And then you got this one, and the people in Iowa that's finna talk about, I resent it to you, so it should be at the top of the screen. Talking about how they want to deal with this pronoun, where a kid can tell you that whatever they want to tell you about who they are. Let's run that piece, Amari, so we can re-emphasize. That was it that you just passed. Well, go on with Phil, Dr. Phil, but I knew I just sent it, and I just saw it.
Those things. So your self-perception, you can have whatever self-perception you want, but you can't expect me to take part in that self-perception or to take part in this kind of charade, this theatrical production. You don't get your own pronouns, just like you don't get your own prepositions or your own adjectives. It's like if I were to tell you, my adjectives are handsome and brilliant, and no matter whatever you're talking about me, you have to describe me as handsome and brilliant because that's how I identify. It makes no sense. You don't get your own pronouns. I think it's delusion. It could be mental illness. It could be it's a lot of with children. Wow. There's also just a basic confusion that all kids have.
Yeah, that piece needs to continue to talk about that.
When a 4-year-old boy comes to you and says, "Oh, I'm a girl," here's a good follow-up question. What is a girl? That's a question I would like to throw out to other members of the panel, actually, because just like the 4-year-old can't answer what is a girl, well, this is one of the problems with this left-wing gender ideology, is that no one who espouses it can even tell you what these words mean. It's like, what is a woman? Well, can you tell me what a woman is?
No, I can't.
What do you define a woman as?
An adult human female. Here's the thing, when you're female, it goes right down to your bones, your DNA. So that's why if someone dies, we could dig up their bones 100 years from now. We have no idea what they believed in their head, but we can tell what sex they were because it's ingrained in every fiber of their being. I have answered the question. You stood up here and said trans women are women.
Yes.
Tell me what you mean. What is a woman?
Womanhood is something that, just as Ethan explained, I cannot define because I am not myself.
You used the word, so what did you mean when you said trans women are women if you don't know what it means?
Right? So here's the thing. So I do not define what a woman is because I do not identify as a woman. Womanhood is something that is an umbrella term. It includes people
that describes what?
People who identify as a woman.
Identify as what?
As a woman.
What is that?
Was to each their own. But listen,
tell me what the word means, though. So
you want to reduce women, you want to reduce men down to maybe just their genetics, our genitals, our chromosomes, right? That's what you're saying.
You want to do is, what you want to do is appropriate women. You want to appropriate womanhood and turn it into basically a costume that can be worn.
Well, I sure hope that they don't mute the programs because we use this. But I think that's one of the best pieces I've seen because it answered the question. You remember when they said that the oldest possible evidence of our type of human existence was discovered in Kenya for a period of time, and it was a woman? Why was it a woman? Because of her bones. You see what I'm saying? So you can say whatever you want to say, but it's in the bones. They can dig you up and see that what you say ain't what's real. That when it's all said and done, you cannot speak nature away. Just because you modify things the way you want to and indoctrinate generations, don't change nature. Nature puts its own name, tag on what it produces. You're going to declare. And I don't even know, what was that? I mean, what is a transgender? I'm looking at these two people, that person with that long hair and that beard. I'm really challenged. What are you saying? Here you are. Everybody know you's a dude. You say you's a transgender. So you go choke out some female that says she is a female, she's a girl. And they let you do that because you said you was a girl. But they know your bones, your everything say, no, you ain't no girl, you's a boy. But now you got dummies, zombie administrators, and all of these new generation creatures that say, well, all they got to do is say, I'm a girl. What? How'd you get away with that? I guess we should ask Obama and Biden. I guess that's who we should ask. All those the presidents of this country, and they said, okay, yeah, it's all right. All you got to do is say that you was a girl, and you can go into the women's bathroom. Say that you was a dude, and you can go into men's bathroom. Okay. But people go into the penitentiary every day. Now the piece about ours, because they're going to talk about it, about what those parents are doing. And then there's one or two other pieces, and we got to go, because I'm looking at the clock and time doesn't run out. You see that piece? Amara just sent it to you again. The one that say our, schools, the school district over that, well, I don't know. I mean, you know, right there, that piece, right there, right. Now, while he's cleaning that up, getting past the commercials and all of that, this is a piece that, you need to hear. Because school is finna start. But you can't just let these people just contaminate the minds of your children. And have them coming home telling you what they are, and they ain't but 4 and 5 years old. Get the hell out of here. I was somewhere the other day, and I see it all year at these schools. These two girls was kissing, just all in public in front of little kids, 5 and 6 years old, and the staff just standing there and wasn't nobody saying a damn thing. But had there been a boy trying to kiss a girl, it would have been all type of concern. But what is happening with this here? You standing here with all of these kids and little kids going around acting, I don't understand. And grown folks don't say nothing. Grown folks, y'all can't just let this continue to be. At least Negroes, you know better. All right, brother,
new pronouns, a new name, and the option to participate with the preferred gender in gym class. Nicole Neely, founder and president of Parents Defending Education, which brought the suit, joins me now. Nicole, my initial reaction was, Iowa? How is this happening in the heart of traditional American values?
Isn't it astonishing? If it can happen in Iowa, it can happen anywhere. And that's one of the reasons that we thought it was so important to bring this lawsuit, to show that this is the kind of thing that parents have to keep an eye out no matter where they live.
The lawsuit claims these gender support plans authorize children to make fundamentally important decisions without parental involvement, to then hide these decisions from parents. Why do they think it's appropriate to give a child this sort of power and responsibility?
Right. As you said, beginning in 7th grade, the child's decision takes precedence over that of the family. And the school actually, this is a district where parental approval is needed to give a child aspirin. Yet they're encouraging children to create these support plans, hide this information from their parents, essentially lead a double life, which is terrifying because they're encouraged, and really I think if the school district is implying that families are not safe. It's putting that idea in children's heads that they won't be accepted, but we as a school district will, which is horrifying.
Nicole, why does it seem, especially in the last few years, that this education industrial complex seems so committed to, one, driving a wedge between parents and their kids, which is the most important bond we literally have in our time as humans on this planet, and then two, sexualizing them?
Right. We're seeing activists that are determined to rip our children's innocence away from them, putting these ideas in, forcing these concepts in at definitely age-inappropriate levels. This district, you can create a gender support plan as young as kindergarten. It's just beginning in 7th grade that parents don't know about it. And so I think there are activists with a major agenda that want to destabilize the family because, when you don't go to your parents for love and support, who do you turn to? You turn to the government, you turn to the schools, you turn to other sources, that have more control over you.
When I was in kindergarten, I played duck, duck, goose. I never thought of identifying as a duck or a goose, because I was a boy, and that was it. This district also forcing other students to call their classmates by their preferred pronouns. If they don't, they face expulsion, i.e., loss of the ability to learn. Where's their First Amendment protection?
That's a great question, and that's why we sue them on First Amendment grounds as well as the 14th Amendment grounds for that parental exclusion policy. The school might not like it, but they cannot compel speech from these students, and that's so we're fighting back against that as well. Expelling students, suspending students over refusing to use students' pronouns is appalling.
I think most of us are live and let live when it comes to 18 years and up. Not 5 years old, 5 years of age. I keep doing that. Nicole Neely, I get just so thrown off by all this. I get flustered. Thank you very much.
Now let me just tell you something. Think. They punish you. Here's a student. Come forth. And you say, Johnny, come here. Student say, no, my name is Jane. You don't call the kid Johnny, you get suspended. Other students get suspended. But everybody knows the boy ever since he's been there. But all of a sudden, somebody told him he Jane. And then the system, the unions, the government, the police, they agree with the lie. that this boy has used what they call a pronoun, and everybody else is stupid and a criminal because they don't call him the lie that he's projecting. Damn, boy, y'all still won't. I mean, y'all, Negroes, you cannot continue to follow this type of insanity. This is stupidity. Don't continue to allow and stop electing these dumb butt creatures that are nobody really, that run for office and you just don't know whose name is what, and you go in there with your program behind and you vote for somebody and this is what you get. Now here's something here that's interesting. And I remember, I ain't even mentioned her. Just run this, man.
Inside the Chicago Police Department, CPD's executive director of the Office of Constitutional Policing and Reform, Robert Boyk, was let go by Superintendent David Brown today, and it had to do with a critical email. Boyk's job was to lead the department to court-ordered reforms. Now, sources tell Fox 32 that Boyk sent an email criticizing Brown's moving of 46 officers to patrol, saying it prevents meeting court-ordered obligations. The superintendent told the Sun-Times that Chicagoans would rather see officers working patrol than at a desk.
You know, and then you wonder why I be talking. Think! It was Lightfoot that was in that position between the police and the community. She was the Daily and Rahm Emanuel person for that. Now you get police reform because it's mandated by the federal government. You know Brown ain't got enough nerve to go find nobody that's over the department to see to it that that decree of police reform is instituted. Now here they are. They fire this man because they can. That's why you all got to pay attention, man. You know, this is crazy. You wouldn't let no white damn man just do this type of stuff she doing. You wouldn't. This man get terminated for what they saying to us from that position, trying to be sure that there's police reform. So what they do, they tell the police, won't let the police do their job. They can't chase nobody to apprehend people. They can't do nothing but get paid. Now, this is crazy. So the person that's supposed to see to it that the police don't just do every type of stuff they do against the citizens, they fire them and say, well, the people would rather see the police in the street. Dude, that ain't the point. The point is the federal government said you need somebody to oversee what you do. Because when Lightfoot was in there and when the other folks were there, the police was out of control. Now run that piece about Kim Fox and then we out of here. We can't see the rest of the stuff. But now listen to what Kim Fox says about the people, about Murphy and other people that left the state's attorney's office. Now I just want you to see how these people moving around. And I want you to think about why you need to think about the next 6 months as it relates to the automatic and the mayoral election, and you need to come about, you need to get a consensus candidate, although I know that's impossible for Negroes. Too many Negroes already trying to get somebody to drop out, and now some other Negroes running around here trying to draft a Negro to run for mayor. How stupid can you get? You already got too many. And now you want to draft another one. To do what? To self-destruct. So when Lopez or Garcia or some other Vallis become mayor, then all of y'all will be sitting around like a bunch of crybabies talking whatever. You need to find somebody that got the clout in Chicago, some Negro that can sit all of you Negroes down and come up with a consensus candidate that can, number one, can beat Lightfoot, number two, can beat any challenger. Because number three, Negro, you really don't call it like you used to. You understand that? Now, where's this thing about this Fox? It's down there. Okay. I'm almost certain I sent it, so it should be at the top. But I know that for whatever reasons, maybe it's because it's CAN TV. We send this stuff, and it ain't there. But all right. The Kim Foxx piece. I mean, it's a simple piece. I mean, it should be number 12. That means it's down on the list in ABC, and it was 2 days ago.
Her office and assuming no personal responsibility for people leaving. Instead, she is blaming the lingering toll from the pandemic.
The Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx says there are many factors that have contributed to the recent loss of senior prosecutors and supervisors in her office.
The reality is that we are in the midst of what has been designated as the Great Resignation, and we have not been spared.
Fox points to recent studies showing attrition rates of 20% in other big cities, and she says one huge contributing factor was the pandemic, which virtually shut down courts here for more than a year.
As the courts started to open up, the work that was required to deal with the backlog to keep our community safe fell squarely on the shoulders of the dedicated staff here at the Cook County State's Attorney's Office.
When Prosecutor Jim Murphy abruptly resigned at the end of July after 25 years, he sent a scorched earth email to colleagues saying he had lost respect for the administration, something that sources in the office say left people feeling disrespected, angry, and demoralized. Fox, a frequent target of criticism for reforms seen by some as soft on crime, defended her policies as helping build trust in communities most impacted by police misconduct.
They go hand in hand. Righting these wrongs is a method of public safety.
But Fox dodged a question about her future.
Do you want another term, Ms. Fox? Are you interested in running again, or?
I'm interested in making sure that the people who have had convictions that we cannot stand by have an opportunity to have their freedom, and that we right the wrongs of the past.
Fox is currently serving in her second term. She is not up for re-election until 2024.
And I wanted to just share that. I mean, the pandemic, But the point of this, you see what Fox says? And I think this is what happens with our people. And while I'm saying this, Omari, would you see, could you find this piece? And it's the last piece and we out of here. It's Trumbull. It says Lori Lightfoot loses it when someone questions her truth. Trumbull.com. I mean, it's on the thing. Now, what I want to say about this, you see what she said? She said, basically, my priority is not justice for the victims that's out here now that I was elected to get justice for. I'm concerned about those that have suffered the injustice from those cops in the past. I'm concerned about them having their justice and their millions. I can salute that, Kim Fox. But I would imagine that people voted for you to be sure that criminals that commit crimes now are punished. Not just you letting out all of those that was victims to some degree or to a full degree of some bad cops. See what I'm saying? Now here's another one. I want you to look at her, look at Fox, and I want you to just go around and think about what you have done to yourself, Negro. Play this. And until next week, Alafia.
Feeling that tourists aren't coming to our city. All you have to do is walk up and down the street. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. You will stop speaking. You will stop speaking. You're full of crap, and that's the nicest thing that I can say. I will not let you spoil this moment, and I will not let you. If you do not stop. Harold. Respect her the way she respects you. Harold, if you do not stop, I will ask you to leave, and I will make sure that the police take you out of here. You will not act like this, sir. You can talk and say whatever you want on the street, but in here, in my press conference, you will not act like that, sir. And let me be...
Now, let me just say this here. You give this woman here 4 more years, this woman here, it's something about her thinking she God. And that's why I think, and I'm saying this to me, and I don't care about what you think about what I'm saying. I try to be fair in my way, try to be correct in my way, and that's why I challenge myself. I'm trying to figure why I don't like her. That's why I don't like her. That type of attitude, that type of gangsterism Get the hell out of here, lady. You don't stand on all of that. But you give her 4 more years of that? You talking about a dictatorship? This would be worse than that little dude in North Korea. You talked about Trump. That's your problem right there. We out of here.